Henry, I've been enjoying your, interventions as well as everybody on the panel there, as well as the contributions from Joss, quite important this morning. We'll take it up a notch in our program that will run for quite a distance today. Nigeria's journey to nationhood has not been the cliched walk in the park. It has been the trudge of patriots towards a lofty dream. Not intimidated by the distance to set goals, hurdles on the way to progress, and the sometimes steep drops that follow the wrong turn on the way. The chronicles of this odyssey, from being a colonial administrative afterthought to a continental giant knocking on the door of true global stature, remains an unfolding book. Today we mark the 65th chapter. Over 200 million people have different stories woven intricately into one shuku. Only one station can claim to have been there since independence till date. And today the NTA will distill the thoughts of Nigerians home and abroad in an ambitious attempt to capture the essence of a nation on the rise. I'll not be doing this alone. It is a loaded and eclectic studio. I have Claire Adelabu Abrazak, clear and unclear terms. Ruth Agwele will get to the root of the matter, and I'll be touching base with Tochi Okuta. Ladies.
All right. So, we are all woven with 1,000 threads, from Sokoto to Port Harcourt down to Enugu, Maiduguri, Lagos, Abuja, Plateau, Kaduna, Benue, down to the conference states that's Lokoja. We are all under the same sky. Yes, we may have different languages. Yes, we may be dancing to different tunes. But here is something that you need to know. The fabric of Nigeria still holds very firm, stitched in unity, and of course strengthened by our diversity. Yes, Nigeria is so many things to so many people. Like a pot of jollof rice, like an orchestra with different instruments, playing discordant tunes, but capable of churning out a beautiful, harmonious symphony. I'll be steering the panelists' discussion. We will take you on a journey from 1914, when the northern and southern protectorates came together to form the entity called Nigeria, and then we'll delve into the evolution of our constitution, and perhaps we'll look at how Nigeria became a republic in 1963. That's when Nigeria became self-independent and a sovereign. Like I said, we have a panelist drawn from across the divide who will help us together to explore how we all can, come on deck, join our hands, and leverage our country. And that's where you come in. And that's where Ruth Agwele and Tochi also come in.
Indeed, Claire, and there's a lot, to reflect on. We're counting 65 years of our independence. What have you done is the question as a citizen, as a Nigerian. What are you contributing to nationhood? Now, that question speaks a lot, especially if we want to record progress or our growth. It beckons on us all to think of how far we want Nigeria to go. And that's where our mini town hall session will be delving on. We have a cross-section of Nigerians who will be sharing their perspectives on what they think about nationhood. But of course, I won't be doing this alone. Tochi, what are your expectations?
Well, I expect to hear the mind of Nigerians. By the way, happy independence to everyone.
Happy independence.
65 years. I mean, if I was married for 65 years, I'm sure you'd be celebrating.
Of course.
So, Nigeria, we have every reason to celebrate 65 years of moving forward and moving forward. But it is also very important to look at the issues or the things that got us here and what more can we do to get to where we intend to be, which is why our mini town hall will be doing us the honors of having this conversation with us today. That means you get to see yourself in each and every opinion that we raise here today and know what your role is in moving forward.
All right, ladies, earlier in the day, the president in his address on October 1 said that we have turned the corner after the challenges of yesteryears. But after the corner, what is the next junction? We'll be telling you all that in the course of today's program. But before all that, some Nigerians have been are saying some things about Nigeria and talking about distilling the voice of Nigeria. Of course, like we said, we have an eclectic studio here. We have Tochi Oputa, but she's not on the panel. An Oputa panel, but not together. And so many other offerings in the course of the day. But let's hear from some Nigerians, and then we'll come to the studio and share their thoughts.
On October 1st, 1960, a new nation was born. Nigeria stood tall, raising her green and white banner of unity, hope, and freedom. From the early struggles of nationhood, through moments of triumph, challenges, and resilience, the Nigerian Television Authority has been there, telling our stories, preserving our history, shaping our voices, and bringing Nigerians together across every region, every home. The laughter, the tears, the milestones, and the dreams. As Nigeria celebrates 65 years of independence, we at NTA remain proud to be part of this remarkable story. Nigeria's journey is our story, and the story continues. Happy Independence Day, Nigeria.
And on that note of happy independence, we start our first conversation on this special broadcast on Nigeria 65, the 65th step. I have the pleasure and the privilege of welcoming to the studio one of our guests, but the main one for this part of the aisle, and that is a man who is the chief executive of a state and has been engineering social and economic change in the state, Engineer Abdullahi Sule, Executive Governor of Nasarawa State. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Happy Independence Day.
What are your thoughts at this time on the top chair of a state, the presidential address earlier in the day echoing the vision for, Nigeria generally? Just your first thoughts before I go to the panel. Just in a short sentence.
My first thought is the fact that I'm excited, I'm happy, and for us in Nasarawa State, we're celebrating two anniversaries today, the 65th anniversary of Nigeria's independence and the 29th anniversary of Nasarawa State creation. So we have seen the light at the end of the tunnel. We have turned around. Things are going well. And for us, we will say, we thank God that we are where we are today.
All right, before we go into the conversation proper, let's hand over to Claire briefly to introduce members of our panel as we speak to the concept Nigeria and the nation Nigeria.
All right, many Thanks to Fisayo Feso, our own wordsmith. I was trying to, do a little research on how to introduce my panelists this morning because they all come with, a big bag of resume. But let me, be brief and succinct with them. I'll start with Professor Ikechukwu, who is to the, my far left. He's a well-known face. He's, of course, the founder of Leadership Academy Specs. Thank you, Professor Ikechukwu, for joining us this morning, and happy independence. And my next guest, needs little or no introduction. Once you see him, you know who he is. And he's a comrade, but today, this is not the time for, the boomzo. This is the time to reflect on our collective journey as a country. So let me welcome to NTA and the Independence Anniversary Program, Comrade Joe Ajeru. Comrade, thank you very much for joining us, and we're glad to have you with us. Next is our own, of course, gender advocate, very passionate. She stirs, issues around gender parity, and of course, lately from the Not Too Young to Run bill, which is now an act, she's also pushing for the RSB, that's the Reserved Seats Bill for women in Parliament. I'm talking about Cynthia Mbamalu, and she is Programs Director, IAGA Africa.
Thank you. Good morning and happy Independence Day.
Thank you. And certainly not the least, in fact, he's a very high-ranking general in the Nigerian military, and I'm talking about General Emeka Onumajoro. And he's here, he's heading the defense operations at the defense headquarters, but he's representing the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Christopher Musa, right here with us. Thank you very much, General.
Thank you so very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, and so, Fisayo, should I hand back to you?
Thank you, Claire. Zach, I have, two guest scenario here. My other guest is out there in Port Harcourt. Is His Royal Highness Alfred Dieter Spith, first military governor of Rivers State and King of Twan Brass. He's in the Port Harcourt Network Center. Your Royal Highness, happy Independence anniversary to you, sir. Happy Independence anniversary to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Happy Independence to all you, the Nigerians, and their visitors. God bless you.
Your Highness, we just start the discussion with you immediately. What are your thoughts now, since we have a sitting governor right here in the studio, but you were the first military governor of Rivers State, and you had the opportunity of seeing Nigeria in its early days. In terms of your impressions of seeing Nigeria now and Nigeria then, what are your thoughts at this time?
Nigeria has come a long way. We got self-governing status in 1957 and full independence in 1960. Since then, we have had democracy until 1966 when there was a military incursion, and that lasted till the time of Shagari in 1979. Unfortunately, by 1983, the military had to take over again till 1999. But Nigeria is a big country. It's not been easy to rule, but as Nigerians, we are very determined and self-conscious and also self-critical, which is a good thing. We accept where we go wrong and try to make amends. And that is what it has been, and that is what guarantees that before long, Nigeria will be recognized as one of the leading nations in the world. We are very resilient. We've had good times, we've had bad times. I still remember the oil production level was somewhere at 2.2 million barrels a day. It dropped down to a million, or almost below a million. But it has come up back again to 1.6, which is a good sign. I think we should have all hands on deck, everybody contributing their little quota, and seeing that Nigeria is sustained and Nigeria is built to become a world power. One of the things we need to do definitely is to be prime producers. We should be producing all the cash crops, which have now increased to a number of about 20. And this includes, things like mushroom, definitely, and fishing for agriculture, and mango, even hibiscus is a cash crop now. We have dogonyaro and all that. We should put more effort and see that we produce these crops in large quantities so that we can export and earn the dollar directly. If we shore up our currency, we will be respected more abroad. Presently, we are tied to the dollar. When it goes down, we go down with it. This is not good enough. We should be able to be primary producers so that we can now call the shots ourselves. This I see, what I see of Nigeria. The population is growing, and here again, we have to somehow control the population growth, otherwise we'll get out of gear. Nigeria is a great country. The people are very religious, they're very God conscious, and what we cannot do humanly, I'm sure the great God of our creation will help us to build Nigeria, a nation where no one will be oppressed. We really should be thinking of being our brothers' keepers. We, for instance, in our democratic process, we cannot have states having local governments all the way to 774 of them. And Bayelsa, for instance, has only 8. What crime has Bayelsa committed to have only 8 local governments? When Kano has 44, Jigawa has 34. All the others have in double figures, and we give 8 local governments. And if anybody doesn't see anything wrong with that, then, we are in for the high jump, because the infinite divine director is not flattered, and he is a God of justice. So some of the things we can correct immediately and see that we all move together in unison and as equals. Some of the areas have contributed so much. How much have been plowed back in there? These are the sort of things that got our youth really angry. But we've been able to convince them that if you are angry, you do not go destroying your own land by crossing the pipelines and so on. You dialogue. And I think they've accepted that graciously. And this is a very good sign that everybody is becoming more mature. How many universities did we have before now? Now you have a complete compendium of universities. And these are universities that are turning out first-class material for the world. And there's no reason why other nations should not respect Nigeria and give her a proper place in the World Committee of Nations. So Nigeria is poised. To me, Nigeria is like a sleeping beauty, just waiting to get the kiss of life and to show the world that we have arrived and we have the wherewithal to lead the world.
Thank you for your first intervention, Your Royal Majesty. We will come back to you. The Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, I'm sure it has taken up some of the suggestions you have made. Will still come to him. But let's go to the town hall. You've spoken about the people and interaction between the led and the leaders. And Ruth Aguele, we could do a quick introduction of our panel, of our town hall, as well as Tochi Okuta, before we continue to session.
Thank you very much, Fisayo, for that. And I was just, listening to what His Royal Highness was, telling us, the time to just reminisce. And one, key aspect of nationhood is people's participation. And that is why you have this cross-section of Nigerians here. We have the youth parliamentarian here represented, young minds from the National Youth Service Corps, students represented, even students who are benefiting from the, student loan scheme by the present administration. The market women are here represented, talking about women empowerment initiatives. And, nationhood is not complete when there is no equity or social justice. So persons with disabilities, of course, are present here because inclusivity is very key for national development. Mama, I would like to quickly start with you. Chief Mrs. Felicia Sani, let's just hear your perspective. You are the national president, commodity market men and women. And I'm made to understand, we're just having a chit-chat. You started this in 2003 with the present First Lady of Nigeria, Her Excellency Senator Oluremi Tinubu. Your what? Yes, okay, the president's mother. Now, tell us, Mama, the marketplace is a place where, people from different cultures, different, religions come together. It speaks of unity. It speaks of diversity. But if you look at a nation like Nigeria, where different, cultures, religious backgrounds, how would you describe the marketplace representing Nigeria as a place, for our unifying factor?
Good morning, Nigerians. Happy independence. I'm happy to be here to give you my view about Nigeria. I was 25 in July in 1960.
October
I was 25, 4th. So I know everything about Nigeria. Women fought for this country, and I pray Nigerians don't forget women. Marketplace is the most important place. Nobody stays a day or two without eating. You won't be okay. You must eat a day, at least, and you must come to that market. And I'm happy we started this Market Men and Women Association of Nigeria with Magaji, Tinubu, 2003. And we've been women. I'm happy that you people won't say that the problem Nigeria have now is from market, because we buy from the farm. I'm so happy that you people have not concluded that, market men and women, they are responsible for the high price of things in the market. I'm happy to hear that. Even we are not happy ourselves, but I'm happy that with the present administration, things are taking the proper shape. Trends are going down, because a bag of rice as at 3 years ago was going behind 100 and something thousand, but it's coming down to 60 something thousand now. So I'm happy the prices are coming down, because we buy from the farmers. We don't produce it, we buy from the farm and sell.
Okay, thank you very much, Mama.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you've done, incredibly well, keeping the market men and women together. I used to think growing up that it was just women, but it's good you're carrying the men along, because we have businessmen also in the marketplace. I'd like to hear from Claire Adelabu Abdurazak, who is also a business-minded person, and she has her own perspective about the Nigerian journey, about nationhood and all of that. Of course, with the cross-section of guests on her panel session, you're sure to expect nothing but the best. Claire, take it away.
Thank you, Ruth. Indeed, I have my perspectives, and I'm very, passionate about our journey so far. Though I wasn't born then, but of course, much of what I know, is from history, and that's why, I'm glad to be steering the panel session, and I'm happy with the, composition of my panelists. But let me quickly start off this way. My colleague talked about if she were 65, she would have been, if she were married for 65 years, she was wondering what Ruth would say to her. So let me throw the question to everyone here. If you met a 65-year-old person, what character and quality would you be expecting, from her? Let me start with the only lady here, Cynthia.
Wow, thank you. And I would say Happy Independence Day to Nigerians, especially to Nigerian youth, because we cannot talk about Nigeria without the young people who are the present and the future. I would say first, if you say 65 years, there's an expectation that at 65, you've achieved some level of wisdom and you've had your series of experiences that has informed the actions you'd be taking in a way that the mistakes of the past are no longer repeated. At 65 is an expectation. And I think if you ask me, Nigeria's journey to 65 has been one of, well, we'll say several ups and downs. I think it's a cocktail of experiences that have left both bittersweet and sour tasting on our tongue. And so I wouldn't say it's been all way bad, all way good. It's been a diversity of experiences. It has left a lot of Nigerians in a very reflective mood today. And so 65 is a milestone. It's a cultural shift and a call for us as a people to begin to really define who we are and let our experiences inform the decisions we'll be taking today. Because if we cannot learn at 65, then there is no future for us.
Thank you, Cynthia. Major General, yes, what's your view? If you met someone at 65, let's look at from the security perspective, what would you be expecting from a 65-year-old?
Thank you. I think I'll start by wishing all Nigerians a happy Independence Day. The Nigerian project is truly well alive and kicking. I also want to wish our troops in the front line happy Independence Day, and also to remind them that the Independence Day underpins the need for them to continuously guide jealously our hard-won sovereignty and territorial integrity, to which they are doing. So I want to ask them to do more to ensure that our territorial integrity remains intact. Now, at 65, no doubt...
You're not 65, are you?
No, I'm not 65.
I
would have left the service.
Yeah,
At 65, Nigeria have come a long way. Nigeria have developed, but of course, there are always challenges. The presence of challenges doesn't mean the absence of growth and development. No, there is growth and development, and there is challenges. Looking at it from issues of national security, we fought a civil war, like Mr. President aptly captured in his address today, and we survived.
So that's part of the challenge.
No, that's not a challenge.
Okay.
That's a sign of progress.
A sign
it's
of
not,
progress.
Not many countries that fight a civil war.
65 years old.
Yes,
let me
and
pause
still
you.
survive.
Let me pause you, because, comrade, you're not 65, are you?
No.
You're not yet. So tell me, what would you do briefly, what would be your expectation of a 65-year-old person?
Well, there are two dimensions to it. A 65-year-old person should have gotten to his peak, matured. In the public service, he must have retired from service. That's the two angles I wanted to look at it. So I don't think we'll have any business hoping upon hope. There are hopes that have been betrayed in the country. But it is not too late if we can get it now. But 65 years, by any measure possible, should be an age of maturity.
It should be.
Yeah.
Thank you. It should be. I just want you to know that it should be. Yeah. But that is not the ought to be. It should be. Prof, I know you will help me out with this ought and should.
As I wish everybody happy independence, the distinction between ought and should is that a child in school ought to read his books, should read his books. If that child doesn't read, the child will fail. So when you ask about a 65-year-old, you find that a 65-year-old person will have joys he had gone through, bruises on the body where he made mistakes, among other things. But it's expected that such a person ought to have matured such that he is not temperamental. He becomes a protector of the young because he's seen most of their mistakes. But you can also meet a 65-year-old person who is a failure in life. He's a drunkard at 65 in street corner. So when we speak of age and attainment, we must know that there are failures. So let's not assume that 65 years automatically translates into success. But the other point to note is that 65 years in the life of a man is not the same thing as 65 years in the life of a nation, particularly a very diverse nation. The time it takes to build a nation is not the same thing. So I'd like us, while speaking 65, let's make a distinction between 65 years in the life of a man and in the life of a nation, and look all over the world and see the difference. That nations, some nations take longer than others to mature.
Professor, okay, thank you. I always like your analysis from the both metaphorical and the philosophical angle, but you hit it. So we are all agreed that Nigeria at 65 is consistent with expectations of the growth path. And thank you. We'll come back to you, but let me bring in Fisayo. Fisayo, I know you are, enjoying the grandeur of royalty and gubernatorial exchanges. So let you continue with this privilege.
Thank you very much, Claire. Your expectation, I may dash it because I didn't bring the list of what I want to, the projects I want to do in Nasarawa State with me, but maybe after the program. Your Excellency, you listened to His Royal Majesty and his thoughts on Nigeria in the 60s, and also when it was at the Helm of Affairs in Rivers State, a much bigger state than what it is now, in those days. But at this time, Nigeria taking the 65th step, and your state as well celebrating its own anniversary. You are the man in the chair. What are the solutions perhaps that you have proposed to the people in terms of some of the challenges of today? And which ones have you surmounted before we look at the future?
Well, thank you very much. Let me first and foremost really congratulate NTA for the composition of the people that I have seen you have gathered today. I think with that, you will be able to touch in every area. I wish I was on the panel where Claire was asking, are you 65 or not? I would have said, okay, Claire, I am actually the independent child because I'm 65 years. And with that, I'm not as old as Mama when she got independence, so I wasn't there before then, but actually I'm 65. And with that, let me now take it again back to where His Royal Highness, Dieter Spiff, has spoken. By the way, I'm an oil and gas person, my background. And Dieter Spiff, people like Etete, people like, Aaron Adams, the late Dalhatu Bayero, Gaius Obaseki, this and that. These were the highly respected people in the oil and gas sector. And for that reason, he picked each one of these areas actually and spoke very, very kindly and nicely and to touch. Now, coming back to the challenges that you said, yesterday I was actually in Owerri with Mr. President when Okeba Kasi threw a joke that if you go to anywhere and you don't find an Igbo man, run away from that town. Now, for someone who has actually traveled extensively around the world, I will tell you, any country you go and you don't find Nigerians, run away from there. So that's the way I will modernize it. Because Nigerians have succeeded in so many other countries that you can think of. In Houston, Texas, for instance, where I actually stayed for most of my career life, every area of Houston, from NASA to the hospitals, to the oil companies, so that you find Nigerians very, very successful. That is some level of maturity. You come back here, the reason why I'm telling you that we are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel, we had civilian military. Now we have had consistently 26 years, unbroken transition. We have also had a President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has come and taken some very, very strong reforms, that a lot of maybe former leaders were afraid to take. I was managing director of African Petroleum, when we were fighting at the time with the NLC president, Oshimole, at the time about this withdrawal of subsidy. And we went through that fight back and forth from 2003 all the way to 2007 when he left. So,
were you for or against?
Huh?
Were you for or against at the time?
Against withdrawal? Well, you see, as an oil company, I was fully for removal of the deregulation, because the moment you deregulate the market and then you remove the subsidy, you give us the opportunity to import. At the time, there was a lot of problems, about queues all over the place, this and that. And today, the president has done that, and we have solved that problem. You had 3 refineries in this country, and the 3 refineries in Warri, in Port Harcourt, in Kaduna couldn't solve our problem. Now we have 1 refinery in Lagos, owned by Dangote, and has solved all the problems of these queues. This is a way forward. His Royal Highness has spoken about our oil production. In fact, the other thing he didn't even add is the fact that our reserves have increased significantly. Now you have high reserves not only in the Niger Delta, but in the northern part of the country. This is a big move. So if Nigeria has the capacity today to produce 2.5 million barrels, easy, right now, if we get everything right. But that is not even the problem. Look at our GDP, contribution of the various sectors. In the past, Nigeria was totally relying on oil. Our real GDP right now, if you look at oil, in the second quarter of this year, contributed only 4%. Communications about 11%. But I tell you, the biggest contributor when it comes to our real GDP, agriculture, 26%. That is already over 4 times, what oil, really 6 times what oil has contributed, because of that. Today we are exporting. I was in Angola just a few days ago. When I was there, I had a lot of people that came to say, oh, by the way, we realized that Dangote, you used to work for Dangote. I say, yeah. Say, can you help us talk to Dangote to be able to be selling clinker to us so that we can buy all our clinker and 100% of our cement in Angola will be from Nigeria. When I spoke with Alhaji Aliko Dangote, he said we are in a position to give them 100% of theirs. In the past, we were the ones importing. I can go on and on in that area for Nigeria. Now, specifically, you asked about Nasarawa State. If you had come into Nasarawa State, about maybe just 5 years ago, you will say, which village is this? Is it a state? Today, if you go into Nasarawa State, with due respect, you will see completely a different state. We now have mining processing companies. We now have agricultural activities. The Mama Cass rice that Mama is selling in the market is now coming from Nasarawa State. Now we have tin mining companies. We have wonderful security. If you go to our city, with due respect, they even look more beautiful, our state capital, than some of the states that were created over 30 years, 40 years ago. So these are the achievements, but we have some silent achievements that you don't see in the area of education. I was looking at the WAEC results. Nasarawa now is among the top 10 on the WAEC. When I came as a governor some few years ago, we were number 32. Today, we are number 9 from the result that I saw. If you go again so I can pick each one of these sectors, of the silent sectors, and keep going and going and going. But there are so many people to speak.
Yes, so I'll come back to you in terms of the spin-offs from mining activities in your state, as well as issues of youth engagement, so that perhaps you'll be putting your file together so that you can give us that report. But before then, we will go to Port Harcourt and see. Let's talk to His Royal High Majesty very briefly as well, in terms of leaning on your experience over the years, in terms of talking to the youths there, engaging on positive businesses and actions to also contribute, because the theme has been all hands on deck for a greater nation. In your capacity, you are no longer a military government, but you are, you are, a leader of thought, a traditional ruler. How are you galvanizing people in your domain towards the Nigerian story, towards, the development of the nation?
Well, our youths, they are very level-headed. They had been tickled the wrong way and got really angry and went red hot, white hot. They almost went nuclear, but we've been able to talk to them, and they now understand that dialogue is the thing. It's not just going around cutting pipelines or destroying things. We should engage the youth. We should prepare them for leadership. For instance, in the field of construction, most of the trades, we must have super duper comprehensive schools that not only just give them certificates, but make them practical operators. How many young people do we have who are starting enterprises? How are we ready to help them? We should be able to make funds available. Then we have so many cash crops, we should be able to get them involved in now developing the various cash crops And another aspect which we should not forget is the traditional rulers. These were the keepers of the nation's conscience before independence. Now they are not even on the constitution. And we keep talking about bring them into the constitution, like recurring decimals. And, you know, that is one area we are losing a lot of energy from. The traditional rulers are there, and this, luckily, if you look at the current list of traditional rulers, these are people who have been successful in their various field of endeavor. These are people who are seasoned advisors, judges, former governors, you know, former military generals, and so on. So let's use them to advantage. Let's bring them into the constitution. It really pains me when you, for instance, have a child in school and that child's name is not in the register. Is that child in the school? We are not in the constitution, so the traditional rulers that we're just giving lip service to them. We should do something positive and give them the rightful place in our constitution. The first constitution even had traditional rulers as governors at independence. Sir Adesoji Aderemi was governor of the West. And so we need to galvanize and get all hands on deck. Everybody should feel committed, not just a passenger on board. But the youths, definitely, the number of youths we have today and the schools we have, and I must say, you know, private universities are contributing their quota, and the youths themselves are really getting up, accepting the challenge. So if we now deploy them and encourage them to start their own enterprises, then the whole place will be fully galvanized, and you know, the private sector will take the initiative and the drive. We cannot depend on government the whole time. So really, we should take advantage of the number of youth we have and the population. Our population at 220 million is really a power force. And so if we can now, and the central bank was supposed to make funds available under the, I think it was the Anchor Borrower Scheme, to develop our cash crops. There are over 20 of them recognized now. And mushroom is one of those things. If we can get the mushroom, the mushroom value chain should be something like $1.62 billion by 2030. If we can get 1% of that, and there's demand all over the world for mushroom. When we went to Malaysia the last time, they have developed a mushroom, single mushroom the size of a cabbage. And they were telling us that any amount of mushroom we have, surplus to our requirements, they are ready to snap it up. Things like that. So if we now have become primary producers of simple crop, mushroom will grow anywhere from the coast to the desert. And it's very easy, and it's the fastest growing economy, white revolution. We should have, and I think actions have been taken now to have an initiative from the presidency for this mushroom. And Dogonyaro is common. This is also good for medical preparations. Hibiscus, with mango even, coconut. We have all these natural resources. Sugarcane, and we should stop flaring the gas. The gas flaring can be stopped just by one order. Within 1 year, we can stop it and use it to give more power to the nation. So there's so many things. We should by now also be thinking of producing a prime mover, an original prime mover, an engine made in Nigeria from scratch. We get the iron, the engine block, we get the pistons, we get the crankshaft, we get every other part of the engine molded and chunked together and started. A prime mover. Not just importing cars and junking them together, no. A prime mover. I think there's been a move to even have a non-combustion engine. I think Nigeria is leading in this. We should fund it and make sure that this thing see the light of day. I thank you.
Majesty, Afredite speak for joining us from Port Harcourt Network Center. Governor Satrawa is still an engineer. Abdullahi Sule, you have done a lot of engineering in terms of the local economy of your state. But we won't take so long in this before we need to join one of our colleagues in the field. But talking about, some of the allegations against politicians, they say our elections have become so fractious that after there's a winner and, it's as if it's winner takes all. Even if there's capacity on the other side, nobody invites them across after winning to also contribute to nation building, to the building of the state, and bring in their ideas. Why is this so? And then those who may have lost just that round feel so ostracized.
Well, I think it is not always the case. And I believe with the first statement you make about the elections, you may be referring to the local government elections, because when it comes to the national elections, of course, so many political parties win. And there is no better place to give the example, like right here in Abuja. His Excellency Governor Wike actually was PDP. He wasn't APC. Today, he's the hard-working minister that is working very hard to turn around Abuja. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR actually invited him. He's part of the government, and he's doing very, very well. We have the same in so many other states. In our own state, we have invited a lot of other people, from the other political parties that are working actually with us. So it is not like winner takes all. But the issue is that, and for me in particular, sometimes we find people, who are highly competent and probably are not in our own political party, but they are competent for a certain category. And we have some other people who don't even care about politics at all. They are purely professionals. Yeah. So we bring them on because we strongly believe that we should do that. A good example is actually our investment company. Our investment company is a young man who has zero interest in politics, but he's a very, very strong individual when it comes to the knowledge about business development, about legality of putting businesses together also. So we brought him in. And it's a very close relation of somebody also who is in another political party. But we didn't pay attention to that. We brought the person in. And it is the same if you go to maybe some of our other sectors. So you asked earlier, what it was that we did. I will tell you a good example of what we did. When we came in, it was illegal mining all over the place. So we came up with executive order and said that with due respect, all licenses for mining are being issued by the federal government because they own them. But we own the land under the Land Act use, the Land Use Act. So for that reason, what we did was to turn around, and say that anybody who is mining in Nasarawa State, we are also pleading and asking that that company must also process in Nasarawa State. When we came up with that, that's why now you see the springing up of all these companies. That today we have the biggest lithium mining processing plant in the country. We are going to now have the biggest in Africa by the time we commission the 6,000 tons per day, that Mr. President is getting ready to come and commission again in Nasarawa State. We have so many of them that are also coming up, that are a little bit lower than 2,000 to 3,000, all springing up all over the place. Tin mining, lead mining, and zinc mining. They are all coming up, as a result of this law. We are seeing a lot also in the area of agriculture. We are seeing a lot in the area of skill development. We are seeing so much in the area of health development. Today, we have roughly about 60 primary healthcare units out of our 147, wards. And our plan is to make sure that every ward has a standard, well-equipped, well-staffed primary healthcare. Today we have 60. We are getting ready to go. Maybe by the time I finish in the next 1.5 years, maybe we have 100. And then somebody else will come and take over from me and do the remaining 47 at least. So that's the way we are building, and we are going in that direction.
All right, I will come back to this issue of planning for the future as well, because based on what you have said now, you are also preparing for what happens after your own administration. But my colleague Victor Azu has been doing some measurements. He said he has measured everywhere in the country from distances, and is now in the center of Nigeria. His tape rule is still in hand with the NTA mic with the logo. Victor Azu, give us the result.
you very much, Fisayo. I didn't do the measurement. I am reporting live from where you may call the very heart of the country. Well, this place is the Katampe Hills. I'm right at the top of it, which has been famously described as the center of the country. Of course, when talk about surveyors who can continue to debate about the coordinates of the exact center of the country, well, this place has held that identity for quite some time. And coming here, you wouldn't have to look too far before you see the reasons why this place may just be that center of the country. When you look just behind me, you see, apart from being rewarded with the picturesque landscape that you see behind me, it's a place where you just feel like you are viewing the entire Federal Capital Territory. Of course, the Capital Territory itself is the center of unity. And so if you have the center in the very center of unity, you can't argue too much that you are really indeed seeing the center of Nigeria. The presidential villa, Aso Rock, is just opposite me. And that gives you a sense of where we are and how you just might see the whole of the Federal Capital Territory. It takes some effort to get up here. It's not a long, winding, so to say, hill to climb. It is just a bit steep, but it is short. It took me, a middle-aged man, just about 5-6 minutes to get up here. This is the second time I'm coming. Today we had to drive through. The first time I came, I had to do the walking and jogging and running just to get a feel. But after all that hard work, what I was rewarded with was not just, the breathtaking view of Abuja that I have here, but the tranquility that this place offers. When you come here, I heard you talking earlier about planning for the future. This is that place where you could come sit, in solitude and think about the future and get good results out of it.
Victor, and so how do you feel at this time? I'm looking at you as if I'm on a spacecraft somehow, but how do you feel at this in terms of high altitude, in terms of your breathing? You said you walked for 6 minutes. Did you take water? And how are you feeling at the moment?
Well, I didn't take water. Like I said, today we drove through. But even when I ran through, I didn't need water because by the time I got here, it's like I liken it to a pregnant woman. When you are pregnant and in labor, it looks like one of the most difficult things on earth. But when the child comes, you just think that your reward has come. So by the time you get up here, you see the picture that you see, just the landscape, the beauty that it is. And you see the flora, the fauna. Abuja is a plant city, and you just see the modern structures, the uncompleted one, the greenery, which makes, the world go round. It makes life look good. That's the reward that you get. I didn't need water, but by the time I got here, that reward was waiting for me. And I can liken this again to the independence.
All right, many thanks. All right, go ahead.
Like I mentioned earlier, the debate could rage on. The debate could rage on about how this place became to be the geographical center of Nigeria, because one would wonder, Abuja isn't quite somewhere in the center, but we leave that for the geographers, we leave that for the surveyors to debate. But this place, like I said, has held that record. And different parts of the country, whether you are from the southwest, you are from the southeast, you are from the north, you are from the south-south, it looks like a convergence point, because here, like I said, you could liken it to the unity in diversity that Nigeria is. And on Independence Day like this, you just want to say that Nigeria is a work in progress, just like you look behind me and you see completed structures in their beauty, modern structures. You see uncompleted ones, you see those that are ongoing, you see the virgin lands, you see the flora, you see the fauna. But it is also work in progress for Nigeria. We've achieved a lot over the years. There is more to achieve, and there is work going on at the moment. But this place gives you a sense, like you asked me earlier, how do I feel being here? When you are at the top of the Katampe Hill, well, you feel on top of the world because that's where you are. Every other thing seems beneath you. You just overlook everything. You could virtually see the country, because in distant places, you may not be able to identify structures for what they are. You just see the landscape, and it looks beautiful. But this looks like a place that can unite the entire country, whether you are in the north, you are in the south, you are in the east, or you are in the west.
Victor Azu, since you are on top of the Katampe Hill and even looking down on NTA and it looks beneath you, come back home and collect your letter. Anyway, thank you so much, Victor, for your efforts. We appreciate the governor. You saw, just the picturesque look of Nigeria across the country, and you saw Victor there on the top of, Katampe Hills. And he likened it metaphorically to Nigeria's journey as well. Climbing up the hill, eventually when we get there, into those promises of, the yesteryears and the dream of the founding fathers, when you get to the summit of the hill, we will, feel that relief eventually. But right now, of course, we are still going, and the trudge could be a little bit challenging. So you were talking about, your final 2 years, in governance and what you want to bequeath to your state. At this time, what are your thoughts, especially for those in the chair and colleagues of yours as well? So many things have happened under the administration. The issue of local government continues to resonate. Getting the money directly to the local government, which is the first line in terms of, giving people protection, in terms of security, in terms of so many things. Are you making that dream, that objective come to pass in your state in terms of cascading down the intentions of government to the Nigerian?
You see, with the case of Nasarawa in particular, when you talk about this local government autonomy, in fact, it's even disadvantageous to them. When I came in since 2019, as far as their resources are concerned, the state government had never interfered with the spendings of the local government, ever. But
you didn't even help them keep it at times?
They keep their money on their own. They manage it. They have what they call their jack meetings, and from time to time they share the template with me, that this is how we are going to share, this is how we are going to share. What people fail to understand is that every time they keep saying, state governors are the ones who are touching the local government resources. Why don't they allow the local government, chairman to do this? People misunderstand that these local government, are they another set of human from heaven? Are they not Nigerians? So the problem that we have in Nigeria, they are human beings. They are also sometimes part of the problem. So what we did...
In what way, please?
They are part of the problem because people have this corruptive nature of touching what does not belong to them, of going ahead to... people have this generally in the country. We must face each other and tell each other the truth. These are the facts about Nigeria. So if you are afraid the state governor is going to actually get involved in a corrupted nature with local government resources, it's the same thing with the local government chairman. It's possible the local government chairman will be even more corrupt than the state governors. But needless to say, in Nasarawa, this is what we have achieved so far. With the coming of Mr. President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with the unification of the effects that we have, with the removal of subsidy, most states now, most local government, federal government are receiving anywhere between 3, sometimes to even 4 times where they used to receive. For instance, this month of August that just finished, this month of September that just finished, the federation account shared more money than it has ever been shared in the history of Nigeria. 2.2 trillion was shared between the federal, the state, and the local government. We never had that kind of thing. When I came as a governor, we were sharing anywhere between 590 billion to 620 billion max. Now you are talking of this amount, which is about 4 times what used to be shared. And this happened for several factors as a result of the economic reforms, taken by this president. He's taken the bullet, actually, but so many people are the beneficiaries. So it is left to the 3 tiers of government to develop programs for development and for sustainability of our economic in this country because of the kind of resources that we are sharing. That's why 2 days ago, we had the Northern Nigerian Economic Investment Summit. And at that summit, I made a very categorical statement that the issue of security, the state governors should stop blaming any other person and take responsibility to say that we are going to play our role, in securing our own people. And the same thing with all these other programs. So this is what is actually going on when it comes to that. Now, you talk about what are we interested in living. For me, the dream really is that we have started so many other areas, in the area of skill development, in the area of women development, in the area of sports development, in the area of education, health, agriculture, mining, and the rest. So it's to set a template, but also a realistic and sustainable template that we can now say, whoever is coming to take over, we do that. And we must be fair and transparent in trying to do that. The fairness comes about when you have inclusivity, when you make people believe that they also belong. Because the moment you actually trap on the rights of other people, then you make them angry. Because person that you oppress is waiting for an opportunity actually to strike back. But if you are fair to everybody, even if somebody wants to strike back at you, God Almighty will not allow such a thing to happen. So that's the kind of direction that we are taking one step up at another. We are very transparent, very inclusive. Today in Nasarawa State, local government have actually savings. So they are not living hand to mouth. Last time they checked, they had over 6 billion in their savings account. And they are now saying that we are going to take that for our 13. I had His Royal Highness complaining that he had only 8 local government areas. In Nasarawa, we have only 13. And Nasarawa is like 5 times the size of Bayelsa. We have only 13. So I think it is not necessarily about the number of local government you have. It is the efficiency that you have in those local government, whatever you are able to do with the people, because the most important is touching the lives of the people in that local government. If you have so many local government areas and you are not touching the lives of those people, it's as useless as not having local government areas. It is better to have few, manage them, and be able to ensure that you are touching the lives of the people in the area of agriculture, water, health, and that, because in most time that's what people need. Then they need the roads, and today electricity, solar can do a lot of things, and that's what we continue.
All right, I think it's a good time to take a pause on this discussion because we'll be joining Ruth for the town hall very shortly. But not before we let at least the younger generation see the chronology of how our leaders, in the past from 1960 till now. Let's take this special package of Nigeria leaders from 1960 to date.
Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa served as Nigeria's first Prime Minister from 1960 to January 15, 1966. Nnamdi Azikiwe became the country's first president on October 1, 1963, serving until January 16, 1966. General Johnson Agui Ironsi served as head of state from January 16, 1966 to July 29, 1966. General Yakubu Gowon led the country from August 1, 1966 to July 29, 1975. General Murtala Muhammad held office from July 29, 1975 to February 13, 1976. General Olusegun Obasanjo served as head of state from February 13, 1976 to October 1, 1979, all under the military rule. In the Second Republic, Shehu Shagari became Nigeria's president on October 1, 1979, serving until December 31, 1983. General Muhammadu Buhari led the country between December 31st, 1983 to August 27th, 1985. General Ibrahim Babangida ruled from August 27th, 1985 to August 26, 1993. Ernest Shonekan then became the interim head of state from August 1993 to November 1993. General Sani Abacha led the country from November 17, 1993 to June 8, 1998, while General Abdulsalami Abubakar served from June 9, 1998 to May 29, 1999. Returning to democracy in 1999, Olusegun Obasanjo returned to power as a civilian president on May 29, 1999, serving 2 terms until May 29, 2007. Umaru Musa Yar'Adua took over and served from May 29, 2007 to May 5, 2010. Goodluck Jonathan held office from May 6, 2010 to May 29, 2015. Then Muhammadu Buhari served 2 terms as president from May 29, 2015 to May 29, 2023. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu became president on May 29, 2023 till date.
Indeed, the journey of nationhood that started 65 years ago. And yes, these are leaders, or rather those were leaders, counting plus the present, who have been handing over the baton from one administration to another. But Tochi, I like to reflect back to what, Victor Azu did there on the Katampe Hills. It just brought back memories. I used to go up that hill when I was serving. It was a program on Astro Radio Ajuwaya. And don't ask me, and I don't want Fisayo or Claire to ask me how I used to get up there, but I normally will get up there.
But you did get up there.
I did get up there.
I've never been up there,
yes.
So we can't say that.
It just talks about, it's not about the size, now I'm using myself, but the depth of knowledge, which it's not about the size of our town hall session here, but the depth of knowledge, experiences that will be coming out from our guest here. Tochi.
Yes, speaking of our guests, you did mention earlier that we have people represented from diverse parts of the country. So I would want to start with a representative of the youth. So I would speak to you, Comrade Adida Molagwenga. You are the National Transition Committee for the National Youth Council of Nigeria. National Youth Council of Nigeria sort of serves as a mouthpiece between the young people and the government. So Nigeria is blessed with diverse youths, but speaking of faith, language, religion, not forgetting talent. But I want to know, how is the NYCN, how can you leverage on this diversity to create a unifying tool rather than a dividing line?
Thank you so much. Good morning, Nigerians. Happy Independence. I want to appreciate God Almighty for this opportunity. The journey of 65 is not small, and looking at the umbrella body of the youth in Nigeria, you see that the problem in the society is affecting us, and the Nigerian youth policy says that the age bracket of a youth is between 18 to 29. Yeah, but the international standard is 18 to 35. But we have today a youth council where the constitution of the youth council has been tampered with, has been changed from 18 to 45. This is wickedness. This is greed. That is the situation we are finding ourselves, because the supposed youth leaders sees this platform as an opportunity for them to remain in power, as an opportunity for them to get rich quick, as an opportunity for them to take what does not belong to them. If at 45, somebody is still parading himself as the president of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, what is the fate of the original youth of the country?
Are you saying it should have stopped at 29?
Stop at...
I still consider myself a young person.
You are a young person. There is a difference between you being a young person. A man of 65 can still be a young person. But when we, by standard, the definition of the youth is somebody between the age of 18 to 25, 29 according to the Nigerian youth policy. But according to the international standard is 18 to 35. So the problem we are having in the society has actually affected the growth of the youth. Now the youth between that age are struggling to get into leadership position. Kudos to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who saw reasons why the youth have to come to board. Now we have a Minister of Youth Development who is within the age bracket and is trying everything humanly possible to ensure that the youth council, the leaders of the youth too, fit into that.
Comrade, I do agree that everybody or every sector has its challenges. But what I want you to tell me is how, now we know these challenges exist, but how do we leverage on our diversity as NYCN as a unifying factor rather than a divider?
Yes, and that is exactly what we are doing now. Today, by the grace of God, we have a transition committee in place under my leadership. And what we are doing is to ensure that we carried every voluntary youth organizations in Nigeria that are registered. We carry them along with all the states and local governments, bring all of them together and let them elect leaders for themselves. And by so doing, we can link them with meet with the Honorable Minister of Youth, and from there, they meet with the people concerned and form policies for themselves. So this is exactly what we are doing.
Okay,
thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade Benga. And I'm sure, like you attested to, this present administration is putting in place, strategies and modalities in place to ensure that the youths are being carried along. And talking about inclusivity for the youths, we have our core members here and, of course, students who are represented here. Nana, you are a beneficiary of the... Please, thank you very much. Kindly pass the microphone to her. You are a beneficiary of the federal government student loan scheme. Can you tell us how that has, helped you in the pursuit of your education?
Okay, so it has helped me in such a way that I don't really have to bother about how the school fees comes again, because most times our parents have to sit down and, bombard on how to get the school fees for I and my siblings, or for most parents have to go through these processes because they are not necessarily getting, enough to fund for school fees, for accommodation. So it covers for our school fees, and then we don't have to think so much because we are also getting allowances from these loans, and they help us to cover up for feeding, some part of feeding, and then some part of accommodation as well.
Talking about renewing the hope of Nigerian youths, and that is one example, Tochi. But I'd like to hear from Comrade Chris Agbo, please, the microphone. Yes. Comrade Chris Agbo is the Chairman, National Association of Persons with Physical Disability, FCT chapter. You are representing a very unique group of persons in society, and we cannot leave them out of development if we want to promote inclusivity in nation building. For you as a representative, in one voice, in unity of purpose, how would you say governance over time? Because before now we didn't have a commission, there was no SSA representing the voices of persons with disability, but we have now. So in your words, what has changed over time?
Thank you very much. First of all, let me say happy independence to Nigerians and persons with disabilities. We are talking about 35.5 population of Nigeria. That is the 15% of the country's population who are persons with disabilities. And also, let me also use this opportunity to hail them for their relentless efforts to always make Nigeria proud. You can see what they do even in sports and other areas. Persons with disabilities always represent Nigeria very well. So having said that, so what I want to say is that so far we are not where we want to be, but a lot has happened. But what we have seen in this number of years that we've been pushing for inclusion of persons with disabilities is that we've seen a country that now, presently, we're beginning to see that persons with disabilities are beginning to be recognized. In the time past, we won't be here talking about or speaking for persons with disabilities. So the awareness is there. We're beginning to see that there's that acceptance. We go to events, we begin to see sign language interpretation, we begin to see that people are beginning to create ramps, but this implementation is still very low. We still find a situation that a lot of buildings in Nigeria are still not accessible. Go to hospitals, you can still see that the healthcare services are still not there for persons with disabilities. But we appreciate the effort that government have made so far, but we believe that there's still more that needs to be done in order for persons with disabilities to be included the way we should be included. Then again, on the issue of representation, when we come to politics, we are still not where we want to be. Thank God we are talking about reserve bills. I believe that we will also be accommodating persons with disability, at least even if it's 5%, so that we will also have our voices represented, that when issues are being discussed, we will still have the voices of persons with disabilities that will also make our own input. Because it's he that wears his shoes and know where he pinches. You cannot shave a man's head in his absence. So persons with disabilities must always be there to us always talk about their issues and put up issues the way that people will understand how we feel. Because if, like the way I come in here today, it was so accessible. If not accessible, I won't be here. So we want to see a situation that every environment will be made accessible for persons with disabilities.
And thank you for commending the Nigerian Television Authority for making accessibility possible. Tochi, I'm sure Rashida, Comrade Rashida, has thoughts she wants to share with us. So we'll just pass the microphone to her. Thank you, Mommy. Thank you.
Comrade Rashida, let's also hear from you. You are also a beneficiary of the student loan. So let's hear your experience, just like she shared hers.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Happy Independence Day. About the student loan scheme, this affects the Nigerian educational sector entirely. Well, before the coming of NEL Fund, students find it hard to cope with academic activities. We find some students differing semesters, some dropping out. Some students even find it hard to feed, even if they continue studying. And there are one or two payments required by some institutions, yes, some schools, faculty, department, and all. But with the coming of NEL Fund, students have been able to attend schools, yes, and the 20,000 naira upkeep monthly that have been given to the students to help them with feeding and other payments. Although it's not much, but it goes way extra. And about the education sector, you see, we still battle with the issue of ASU strike and all, which kills the morale, weakens the morale of the students. Exactly, the students in Nigerian institution. We have this cases of students who are very, they come with the dreams, the energy, the innovation to school, and come out here to be better people, to make the country great. But once the strike commences, this energy weakens, and they plan on this, their Japa, yes, they want to jump out of the country to search for greener pastures. Although I will commend President Bola Ahmed Tinubu by introducing this NEL Fund scheme to the students. We appreciate and we hope for the continuity of this NEL Fund program.
And indeed, it will continue as we hear from more beneficiaries. Ruth?
Yes, indeed, Tochi. And, you know, we have a pensioner here who will be speaking much later, representing the voice of pensioners, senior citizens across the country. We also have students, and earlier we had the Royal Highness, you know, talking about engaging youths positively, you know, for governance and growth. But I'll hand the baton now to Claire. Claire, what is Claire in your perspective?
Ruth, thank you. And I just like the contribution of Rashidat about the impact the NEL Fund has been able to make in the lives of students. But let me quickly chip in. About Victor's experience at Katankwi Hill, and I think that was an act of a true patriot for Victor to do that, climb the hills, and then come looking fresh on camera. I think he deserves to be called a true patriot. I mean, for some of us, we will lose breath just climbing the stairs to the post-mortem hall. You know what I'm talking about, Ruth. But we'll come back and I'll begin to engage my panelists here. I think we have a video for you, and we will be looking at Nigerian women who have made their marks in the Nigerian legislature, and there are quite a number of them from 1960, from the first appointed woman, Wura, and then we had the first elected woman, Margaret Afegwa. But let's watch this video.
Equality, development, and peace. So sing that song for women everywhere.
Since the attainment of independence in 1960, Nigeria has witnessed the unwavering contributions of women in shaping the nation's socio-political landscape. Icons like Fumilayo Ransome-Kuti, Gambo Sawaba, and Margaret Epo stood at the forefront of activism, advocating equality and justice. Despite these historic efforts, women's representation in Nigeria's legislature remains alarmingly low. In the First Republic, no woman was elected to the federal parliament. By the time democracy returned in 1999, only 15 women had managed to get into the National Assembly. Today, in the 10th National Assembly, there are 18 female lawmakers out of 469 legislators at both chambers, which is less than 4%. How has the role and representation of women in Nigeria's legislature evolved since independence?
So we know that they were always there speaking for women, but it looked as if they were silent because we had very few women, doing the championing, and of course they got little or no support to, amplify what their views were. But we thank God that today a lot of our women have found their voices, even though the support we are still getting is not yet translating.
You see the likes of Margaret Ekpo, who became a member of the first of the Eastern House of Assembly. She was one of the few women legislators of her time. So we can see that it did not start from today. And you could see also before this representation is not that women have not been involved in decision making. You can recall the Aba Women protests in 1929, where women took a decision to try to represent, because what they worry about is their homes. And the money that the men were bringing back at that time was becoming smaller because of taxation. And eventually they were mowed down.
What were some of the major challenges women faced in politics during the early post-independence years?
So women have, post-independence, faced an array of potpourri of challenges, from cultural biases, traditional roles, gender roles that have also kept them to just being at home and not able to be seen in the workforce, working or attaining political leadership.
Women ourselves, we've already accepted this issue of that we are women. We make ourselves as if unless somebody calls and say, come and take, we don't struggle to take it by force, because politics, I heard them say, that we take it by force. So it's high time also that the women should sit up and try to make sure that they grab like the men are grabbing.
Can you share your personal journey into politics and the obstacles you face?
I started from my university days as a student union leader, and I made it to the top. University of Lagos Student Union leader. I was the first female treasurer of the University of Lagos Student leader, and we had the privilege of always sitting with the Senate to discuss on the welfare of the students and, student activities. It was not an easy one because my campaign on campus then, if you ask anybody, they will tell you, "Kafi okay," just say "Kafi okay," they know and they won. So my campaign on campus there was one of the best ever because I campaigned as if I wanted to contest the governorship election in Lagos State. And from there, I was encouraged to come out and contest the election.
Do gender quotas work? Could they be game changers for improving women's participation?
What I wouldn't want is where gender quotas is only symbolic, just about women occupying seats. It has to be about women having influence to change things and create or co-create legislations and make policies that will address the needs of women and girls and the people of Nigeria. Quota system is not a perfect system, but it's a very necessary tool that we can use to correct the imbalance.
How have societal attitudes towards women in politics evolved, and what needs to change?
We have been meeting with, there are lots of traditional rulers. Some of them have changed their attitude entirely. Some of them have been even welcomed women into their council, and they are loving it because they feel that women bring in a different kind of perspectives.
What advice do today's leaders have for young women aspiring for political office?
Politics is not an easy one. So you have the consent of your husband if you are married, and of course your children, that you want to go into politics, because whatever you do out there reflects back to the home. And you have to be God-fearing, be prayerful, be spiritually strong. So, and you have to also join the right political party. Being in the right political party makes it easier for you to get to where you are going. So when you get to the right political party, calm down to know how the game is played.
Politics is not served a la carte. It is you who will build the brand, the name, the framework, the policy, the network. You need a strong network, you need a strong brand, must have done community services, development, develop yourself, but most importantly, be ready. Be ready and be prepared so that when a call of duty comes to you, it is not your shouting that will get you there, it is your preparedness that will keep you on the job.
Cultural barriers, political gatekeeping, and the absence of legal gender quotas continue to limit women's full participation in governance. But there is hope. Stakeholders agree that passing gender quota legislation, reforming party nomination processes, and promoting education at the grassroots level could help bridge the gap. Until then, true gender parity in Nigeria's legislature rests like a seed beneath the soil, full of promise, yet to bloom. Amina Saidu, NTA News.
Thank you, Amina, for that one. And you ended on a poetic note full of promise. And the studio looks very promising at this time. And it has taken an atmosphere of celebration. It's a special package. If you are just joining us, you've missed a lot. But we've gotten to a point where it is going to be a celebration of sorts. And Elizabeth Agbai is there with a cross-section of our panelists, the executive governor, members of the academia, NYSC members, soldiers, everybody in the studio, including comrade leader talking about the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, all there to cut this cake. I hope this thing has some sugar. Elizabeth.
You can be sure Nigeria is not white for nothing. White means a lot of things, and when it's on top of cake, it also means sweet because it comes with a good icing and good sweetness in the mouth. And the color white says Nigeria is here for peace. Nigeria is here to stay. But I'm not going to moderate this
all by myself. The good thing about this group is that we have a woman, a lady, a mother, a mama who is already 90, seated to do the job with us. Mama, you can stand? Wow, that's a good one. Okay, so she's 90 years and he's telling us that all of us have a prospect of getting there. And our very own governor, Engineer Sule, is 65 this year. 65. So you're the same age with Nigeria. Okay, so we will all join hands and quickly do this, like I'm told, as fast as possible. Mama, if you get up and hold hands with the governor, and if your hands can't touch it, we all stretch out, you know, compassion. Stretch out hand, government Peking. So let's all spell Nigeria as much as we can. N-I-G-E-R-I-A. Nigeria. Pop, pop, pop. Clap your hands. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Mama, can you do us an honor of just cutting the cake? A little bit, a piece. Just cut a piece. Yes. Okay. You cut a piece. And let's be sure that it's cake inside, that is not fisayo and roots and chi and Claire doing us abacadabra. All right, it's actually cake. It's cake, oh.
It's cake, oh. Nigeria 65. God bless Nigeria. Amen. God bless everybody in Nigeria. Amen. Even the visitors that are not Nigerians, God will bless everybody. Amen. From today, 65, we have made our mark.
Thank you very much, Mama. Governor, it's your birth year, at 65 this year. You want to say something to us?
Yes.
How does 65 feel on
want to feed me?
Governor wants to feed him. Okay, please.
Well, I'm just getting ready to feed her because she told me that I'm one governor she admires every time.
Yes. Yes.
Actually, she got married at the age of 25 when I was just being born. She's looking for grandmother. She's looking for a new husband.
Feed your grandmother.
And I think I'm the right person actually.
Please, make her not here.
So happy 65th anniversary, Nigeria. Happy 29th anniversary of the 6 baby years. Nasarawa, Ekiti, Gombe, Zamfara, Bayelsa, and Ebonyi. You know, where the baby states. And so happy 65th, 29th birthday, actually anniversary. So, Mama, you want me to feed you?
Do your work now.
Do my work. Hey,
yes.
so.
Thank you very much. So may we all sing to Nigeria and go back to our seats. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Hip, hip, hip. Hooray. Thank you very much. Fisayo, it's actually there's sugar inside, so you can take it over and we get you some sugar.
Thank you, General.
All right, many